Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fitness to Influence. I am so excited to have my friend on today. Please welcome Lexi Davidson. She has an amazing brand, Lexi's Clean Kitchen, but I think you evolved it to be more than just kitchen. Is it Lexi's Clean Lifestyle now? No,
It's
what is
just
it?
Lexus can kitchen.
So Lexi has an Instagram audience of 193,000. She's also a published cookbook author. And I'm excited to talk to Lexi and share with you guys how she built her brand, how she maintains her own wellness, and all the fun stuff that everybody wants to know about you. Thank you, Lexi, so much for coming on.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
So the first question that I ask everybody is kind of tell me a little bit about Lexi growing up, going to college. What did you study? I always find it so interesting what people did pre becoming a creator.
Funny enough, like not a healthy eater, did not grow up any which way, but I went to college for art, like painting, digital media, art history, psychology, like those were my path. And I was an art teacher after that. I went to graduate school for art education and then was a teacher and then started Lexus Clean Kitchen while I was on that journey. So art, I mean, there's creative elements, obviously. So it flows in some way, but different.
What about growing up, though? Because I know you had a lot of family influence. What was cooking like in your house growing up? And were you a part of it? I think your grandma was a big part of it. And so tell me a little bit more about when you were younger and your passion for cooking.
I always loved to cook. My mom isn't like the biggest cook in the world, but she'd make salmon and chicken dishes. And I was always in the kitchen with her. My nanny, my grandmother, we would cook the Jewish holidays. We would cook dishes together all the time. And it was the best. But I did not grow up. Like I loved to cook, but I didn't eat healthy. Like I was Taco Bell. I mean, I ate pretty bad, which is how I got here. It was a part of my life, but not crazy.
So a big thing, I think, with a lot of us who are early adopters, because you, like me, were an OG. We got in very early in the game. You obviously balanced being a teacher with your blog content. What was the genesis of that? How did you first get started? And did you have a business plan, or was it kind of just like this hobby, this thing that was fun for you on the side?
Okay, so 2013, I'm a teacher and I had all these stomach issues. And at the time I was doing P90X and like Beachbody programs and I was working out like 5 days a week, 6 days a week. I was eating clean. So I thought I was eating good and my stomach was a mess. Like not to get TMI, but like I couldn't go to the bathroom. I like just thing after thing. And I would eat like a tomato and my stomach was destroyed. So I was like, what is going on? So before I was starting to get on the track of going to doctors, functional medicine doctors, just seeing what was going on. But I was like, let me just cut out gluten and dairy because I was like, I must have heard it on the internet. I don't know. I read it was, that was like the paleo days. So we're bigger in the paleo days. So I was like, let me just try this. And Mike was like, yeah, right. Or you're going to not reach for the bread basket at dinner or whatnot. I was like, no, I'm struggling. I'm like, let me just try this. So pretty immediately, I saw a difference in my digestion, my gut health. I was like, I don't know what was going on at that point still, but I was like, okay. Like I was seeing the healing power of food firsthand. So I was like, wow, okay. So after a little bit of that, it wasn't perfect, but it was like on the right path. I started seeing a doctor and we found out it was candida, bacterial overgrowth, and just all these different things. So I did a liver detox. I went on a candida protocol. I was doing all these things and healing myself through food, my body. So I was like, let me just share recipes on an Instagram account. It was literally, I think it was like Alexis 916. It was not intended to be a business. It was like, I'm just going to share because there wasn't like Siete Foods tortillas. I was like making homemade tortillas and stuff, which is hilarious because like, would I ever do that now? No. 2 kids later. And then I was like, let me just share the recipe. So I was just taking like iPhone or I don't know, whatever it was, photos on my phone, sharing them to this account, and it started to grow. I was like, I was spending time. I was like putting the recipe in the caption. I was like seeing who was in the same world as me because I was using these recipes too. So then it started to take off. So this was January 2013 that I started it. In June of 2013, it got to a point where people were like, where are your recipes? I was like, just scroll back, just keep scrolling. And I was like, maybe I should just make a website. So I made like a free website. It was terrible. I made it myself, and which I don't recommend, but you can get there. And then so then over the next year and a half, I was teaching. I was waking up at like 5 a.m. to create recipes. It was the weekends. It was like I think my dinner's ready. And then I was taking a photo for 30 minutes. It was, that whole thing. And it was growing. And I was like, this is so fun, just fun. Well, I was working basically 2 full-time jobs at that point. It got to that point. And then American Express was my first brand deal. And it was a healthy food Friday series on their Tumblr account, which is hilarious. Like Tumblr was the future. So they thought,
I was huge on Tumblr. People don't know that. I had a huge Tumblr following.
so funny. And my brother was like chief creative at L'Oreal. He's like, Tumblr was where it was at. Like he was betting on Tumblr. Anyway, so that was my first like brand deal. So I was like all in for these Friday series. I was getting paid like nothing. It was like, yeah, you live and you learn. But it was exciting. And then, it got to the point where I was making enough money that I was like, I can give this a try, but like, I don't know. I still love teaching. But it was my commute was long. So I was like, I'm going to take a sabbatical. And that was when my book deal came about. So it was like, that was my sign. It was like, okay, so people are really interested in this. Give it a shot, write the book. And like a lot of lessons learned with all that. But that was my time that I was like, I'm going to give this a go. So no, it was not, there was no business plan. It was not intended to be anything more than just to help people. And it went the right time, the right place, but also people were just drawn to it. I think when you're excited about something, people feel the energy.
Yeah.
And
And it was a huge time. We were like a part of like this early, set of bloggers, if you will. And, everybody remembers their first big deal because it was kind of like, oh, this can be something. And it gives you energy. So the industry has changed a lot since we first started. And I'm curious for you and your personal, journey, business journey. What has been the biggest change from when we first started, back in 2013 to now 11 years later?
Back then, I was like, what do I want to eat tonight? What are we going to eat? And it was just me and Mike then. So I would make like paleo, Asian inspired beef, cauliflower. And that was what I would title the blog post. I did not know what SEO was. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't thinking, is anyone going to Google that? I was like, here's what I want to make. And it's fun and it's yummy. So here. And then, as the years went on, SEO was like, came on the scene, or it might have always been on the scene, but it wasn't to me. And so SEO became a thing. And then I got connected with other bloggers and I started learning more. And I was like, oh, I think I have to think about what people are searching for, like all of that. So that was kind of the biggest, I think, change for me, because it kind of went from like, oh, just whatever I want to do, to a little more calculated, which kind of sucks, to be honest. And I feel like I'm getting back to like the OG 2013 way a little more, just because I need it. It's been a long time.
I had Brittany on from Eating Bird Food, and she said the same thing. She's like, SEO was the biggest game changer. And she was joking that she would share her Thanksgiving Day recipes like the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And she's like, so now she's doing like, you're probably in the same boat, the holiday recipes now. It's much more calculated.
Yeah.
So one question that I like to ask people is that, people don't think necessarily what we do is like a big full-time job. And so I always say, when did you hire your first person to help you and what did they do? What was their role?
So my first hire was during the cookbook. It was just a recipe tester in the kitchen with me. So just kind of like a kitchen assistant. But that role, so she was part-time and then full-time. So that transition was, I guess, the biggest, like realizing, hey, this is really great having someone in the kitchen with me that can be a right hand. And then also taking on social media stuff and helping with that. So scheduling stuff and all of that. So that's evolved, and they've had multiple full-time people over the years, but now I have all contractors.
How many people do you have working under you, contractor-wise?
Five or six. Writer, and social, like brand manager, photographer, videographer, and then kitchen assistants and stuff like that. So it's like a whole little crew now.
It is. I have a bunch of contractors that work under me as well. And I always find it funny, people who aren't in this world, and they're just like, oh, these people, they're just like, they don't realize how much of a business it is.
Totally.
And how much planning goes into it in the back end of things. So you're a mom of two, and I don't know if people know this, but you used to live in the town next to me.
Yes.
And now you live in North Carolina.
Yes, we do.
Which I'm always jealous when you're out at the pool in like the spring and fall.
Yeah.
But But give me an idea of what a day, you don't have to do a whole day in the life, but I love hearing about the morning routine of moms who run their own
Mm,
businesses with kids.
It's such a hard thing, especially, and you can relate, but it's like a perfect example of how long it took us to actually get on this because sicknesses and sitters being out and whatnot. But, I used to have full-time help and we decided to not have full-time help anymore. So we have, we have a tag team situation and great. So it's just a weird time in life where I'm like really balancing and struggling, honestly, of like, how much do I want to work? How much do I have to work? Can I be flexible? Can I be with the kids more? It's this whole rigmarole. But yesterday is a good example. So yesterday I woke up, got the kid, well,
What
Herbert,
time?
well, her Sky got up like 7:15. She's good. And then got her ready for school, breakfast, all that, packed her lunchbox, got her out the door with Mike takes her and then he goes to work. And then Harper crushed daylight savings time and I woke her up at 9:15.
Hey, what?
9:15 when
Oh
and
my
her
God.
sitter got here. So I went to a coffee shop, actually met Mike there. We worked alongside of each other. And made a big computer morning work chunk, like Monday morning, getting back to emails, contracts, just everything I need to do, getting organized for the week in the next few weeks, and then planning, planning out a bit and touching base with all my people. So I think I was there 9:45 to like 11:45. Then I went and got groceries. Then I came back, had lunch, and met my kitchen assistant here. And we were testing recipes yesterday afternoon. So it was like, and then Harper was napping while she was testing. And then we picked Sky up from school, woke her up. Then I came back, and then my kids, Sky was like, I want to be a food blogger. So I'm going to help Isabel, help her. I'm like, oh, great. So for that,
So what time did you wake up? Did you wake up at 7:15 as well?
like 7-ish, 7. I'm not
I'm not a
somebody
morning
who's I've
person.
tried this. I'm not somebody who can get up at, like, 5 before the kids and, like, get all my stuff done. So, like, yesterday had lunch, then I worked out, and then my girl came. So, like, I kind of fit it all in the day, but I wake up with the kids, basically.
I'm the same. I have people like one of my coach friends in the faster way. She is like a 5 a.m. warrior, and I'm just like, I try, I
I
just can't
try,
do it.
and honestly, I just need the sleep, and I'm better off.
And honestly, I think there's an element too, people like us, where we work for ourselves and we make our own schedule. And it's like we do what works for us. And if
Yeah.
that's what works for us, great.
Yeah.
And so, it's something that I really, applaud of knowing your body and knowing
Yeah.
yourself, right?
And I'm happier. Like, I'm happier not feeling like I need to fit into a mold that, other entrepreneurs or other moms or whatever anyone else is doing. Cause you probably can relate to this. I've thought about this a lot lately where it's like, well, I don't fit in with the 9 to 5 moms and I don't fit in with the stay at home moms. And I've tried. Like, so when we got rid of our full time childcare, I was like, I thought I was a stay at home mom. And then I was like, I have to do classes. I have to do this. I should make play dates. I'm like, wait a minute. I have a business. Like, I need to check
Yeah.
myself a little. So it's this really weird space where like we can kind of relate to each other, but I don't fit in either space and it's hard.
It's definitely tough, and I've always felt that way. And so I find now that the town that I live in, there's a lot of moms that have very flexible schedules. A lot of them work for themselves, or maybe they work in an office. And this one mom that lives in my neighborhood, all three of our kids are like best friends, and we really help each other out, and we rely on each other. And so she is definitely a lifeline for me at times, and I think I am as well for her. So one question that I love asking content creators is, how do you balance screen time yourself in front of kids?
I love this question because we're kind of crazy about it. And not crazy, but like what I do so I'm not as addicted to my phone. I am. I'm just like everyone else. But so we have a Wi-Fi kill switch at night. I have screen time on my phone, so I have no access to social media from 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. Like zero, no email, no apps. And if I want it, Mike has to put in a password and vice versa. And I'm like, don't give it to me unless I'm like traveling or something, obviously. And if I really want it or I have a deadline or something I have to post, but I don't. I'm just like I'm like, I'm not going to be on it. So at 5 o'clock, they all go dark. And I mean, I have apps that I need, like if I needed Uber and whatnot, but I don't have social media. And it's the best thing for my sleep, for around the kids. And doesn't mean I'm not on my phone sometimes around the kids, but I really try. And that helps. Like the nighttime helps.
That's a great idea because I don't do that. I am totally addicted to my phone, and so I'm always like, I have a nanny and I'm always like, I have the nanny, so I'm not on my phone in front of my kids, but I work at home. So the kids will come upstairs and they'll
Mhm.
see me on my phone working. I'm like, leave. I don't want you to
Oh,
just see me like with my head in my phone, but
I
this is how I
know.
edit videos and all that. Okay. So staying in the trend of kids and stuff, how do you balance your own wellness and running a business? Because it can get a lot. Everybody says women, like, how do you have it all? And I feel like as content creators, we almost have the closest job to having it all because we can kind of balance our schedule. You want to make more money, you got to work more.
Yeah.
If we didn't get maternity leaves, we did not get paid maternity leaves. There are, different benefits. But how do you balance your own wellness? Do you prioritize your workouts? How much do you work out? When
Yeah.
do you work out? That sort of thing.
So I stopped nursing 2 months ago. So her was 18 months. I nursed her till 18 months.
I nursed Ellen until 2.
I
There's
know.
no
I
judgment
was
here.
like, probably the last kid, like it's fine, whatever. But so it's been like, it's been hard. Just before that, when you're nursing, it's like, I like hear when she's crying. I feel it. It's like just so connected in different ways. And it was hard. It was hard to make time for myself. But I feel like I'm in a really good groove. So I work out 3 days a week or 2 or 3 days a week with a trainer because I have no motivation to do it myself. So it's my thing that I pay for it and I do it. But it's great. And I feel I'm stronger than ever. But I work out during Harper's nap time. So like I have my sitter scheduled in the morning or afternoons, both of the mornings because I pick up Sky and then my afternoon shot. And then we have activities and whatnot. But so I'm working out at like around lunchtime, 3 days a week. And then I'll walk and I'll do other stuff randomly. But those are my like hardcore weight training, like heavy lifting type of workouts.
So transitioning a little bit into a few business things. So when you have a partnership, do you reach out to the brands or do they reach out to you or a combination of both? And the third part of this, do you just post about brands that you love in hopes that maybe that will turn into a brand collab or maybe one of their competitors reaches out to you? How do you balance your brand partnerships and how
Yeah.
do they come to fruition?
So this is kind of a cool thing or maybe interesting thing that I stopped doing mostly all brand partnerships, maybe when Harper was born. Obviously very fortunate to be in that position that I could rely on affiliate income, ad revenue, which is like my top source of revenue and various other things. And just be like, I just want to focus on what I can do for work and then the kids and all that. But so right now it's quarter four, so it's craziness. So I am doing a few brand things and they usually reach out to me or I will organically just tag brands that I like just because it's helpful to people. Like, here's my favorite gluten-free tortilla wrap that I've tried them all at this point. But so then like I'll often connect with brands that way. But usually they're coming into my inbox at this point. But, I, I would know. Like if I wanted to work with a brand really bad, I would just reach out to them on Instagram. I'd be like, hey, who's the best person to connect with? Like, what's their email? And often it works.
You message referenced affiliate income. Now, you had your own brand for a while
Mhm.
and then you joined Beauty Counter. And I was a Beauty Counter coach for you for a very short period of time. So I want to hear more about your decision to partner with a brand like Beauty Counter
Yeah.
despite already having your own successful brand.
Yeah.
I obviously joined the faster way, a little different of a company, but
Yeah.
you had an established brand. Talk me through your decision to join them. And I'm going to ask you about the past year as well.
Totally. I mean, it's craziness. And I love Beauty Counter. I mean, I still, everything I use still, like I'm just getting through my stuff and stocking up when I can. And they are coming back, but in a different capacity, probably not with consultants, whatnot. But so I obviously care about safer products and skincare and makeup and all that. So when I found Beauty Counter, I didn't even think of it as anything more than like, I want to use these. Like if my daughter is going to take my lip gloss out of my bag or something like, or, draw eyeliner with eyeliner on her face, I want to feel good about it. So I found Beauty Counter. I loved their mission. I loved what they were doing. I loved the products and the founder. And I was like, okay, well, this aligns perfect. I was using it for a long time. And people would ask me about like cleaning supplies and makeup and all of that. So just it kind of organically fit. And though I had my own business, I was like, I don't have a skincare line. It just made sense to partner with them. It was great. And I still love them. I mean, it's been like a roller coaster of a year and that's been crazy. We could talk about that, but Yeah, I mean, it made sense and it still does.
For you, you had obviously you have a food blog. Most food
Yeah.
bloggers make the most of their money from their actual ads on their blog.
Yeah.
Are you with Raptive as
Yeah.
well?
Mm.
Yeah, that's Brittany's with them. I'm with them as well. And so you also though had this beauty counter. Percentage pie wise, what was beauty counter bringing in to your ads on your blog?
Oh my gosh, I'm really bad at math. But I mean, it was tens of thousands of dollars a year, like
Yeah,
up
from
there.
beauty counter.
Yeah.
And so for some
Like
people
almost
though,
six figures.
it was their full-time job.
Yeah.
And so did you guys have any forewarning that they were gonna change their model? Or was it literally like one day you can see your back end. I can see my back end for Faster Way. One day you were making like $3,000 and then the next day it was just zero.
Yep. They were acquired by a private equity firm and it kind of just their mission, it just didn't work, which happens. Like this happens in business. Unfortunately for Beauty Counter, it happened with however many tens of thousands of consultants or women or men or women, I guess, who were affected by it. So like this happens all the time in business, but it's like spotlighted in a very different way because it affects people's lives, obviously, which is really, really hard. But I feel like it's easy to like just look at direct sales and be like, oh, you see, but actually like this happens all the time. Like a private equity company comes in, it doesn't work. And then so the founder, Greg, who was booted out, was like, I got to try to make this come back. So she bought it in foreclosure and now she's bringing it back, like working to bring it back. And it's going to come back, I think, like over 2025, but different. Like, so what they realized was like the model just wasn't working. Like, and like if you think of a blogger, right? Like we share a link and it sells versus like somebody who's having parties and doing all of that. It's like, I understand how it wasn't generating the income and then we were getting bigger paychecks, you know? So it makes sense when I think about it, but it was like the rug was ripped out from under, like for everyone. We found out the night before everyone else did.
And so I feel like too, what people sometimes don't realize is that as content creators, it's important to not have all your eggs in one basket.
Yes.
And so, we as early adopters, we kind of knew that from the beginning.
Yeah.
And we kind of had the affiliates, you had the sponsorships, and then you had the not the SEO, but like the page views.
Yeah.
You had all these different avenues. And so, when you probably added Beauty Counter to you, you're probably like, this is another bucket.
Yes.
That's how it was for me with Faster Way. I'm like, another bucket. Faster Way has kind of become my main thing. But, I wanted to start this podcast again, kind of to be like another bucket. This is fascinating to me. So, if people are content creators out there listening, if you want to join a company like a beauty counter, like a Faster Way, it's another bucket. That's how people should honestly look at it. Because if you were one of your consultants who had the rug pulled out from under them and that was their only source of income, like they now have to start over.
Yeah. I mean, you don't own it, right? Like you don't own your social media channels. I went on the Stony Field trip, what was it, like 2 years ago? And I was like, it was me, one other blogger, and like TikTok stars. And I was like, what? This is so crazy. I'm a grandma. And they were like, we don't have email lists. We don't have websites. I'm like, oh, like, let me open you up to this world here for a second. You're like, if you don't own it, like get them to an email list, get them to a place where you can reach out to them and you can, have them there, like have your audience in a place that works for you.
And the email list for me was the game changer.
Yeah.
Do you do lead magnets to get people onto your email list? How do you build your email list?
Yeah. So we do like quick start guides, which are like 5 email series, and they go into a forever series where they get an email once a week. And then I do my newsletters on Saturdays. Now we're doing ebooks. So I have a soup ebook and it's like 10 awesome soup recipes and it's free. And that, they capture it through an email. And we're doing a huge Thanksgiving ebook.
You could definitely sell that. And who do you use for email?
ConvertKit. Well, Kit now.
Oh, I'm still on the Flow Desk train.
I never went. I was MailChimp and then ConvertKit.
I've got $19 a month. I can't get rid of that.
No, you can't. Don't move.
It will never
leave. A lot more than that.
I will join something else eventually, but yeah, I will not leave.
No.
All right, social media. You have a social media manager. How hands-on are you and what is the strategy? How do you guys keep up with the ever-changing algorithm?
Yeah.
And what is your love-hate relationship with Instagram today?
Okay, well, Facebook is actually a huge platform for us. So we post there like 8 to 10 times a day. And she schedules that. Instagram is me now. And for a while, I was like the past year, I was like, I have so many videos like in my arsenal from videographers over the years and me cooking. I'm like, let me just make them into content and post like reels all the time. And what I realized was like it was quantity over quality. So now I'm redoing my full strategy. It's me in there. It's always me in my DMs and stuff. So when people DM, yeah, it's always me. But she'll like schedule pins for Pinterest. She'll help me with my email newsletter. She'll help me, for gift guides. She'll be like, what links are broken on blog posts? Like she's just like my right hand in many ways. Instagram is so tough. I mean, I just feel like unless you're, and we were talking about this for a second about TikTok, it's like unless you're creating exactly what people want with the right hooks and all of that, then like it's just a really hard game. But I always say to people, what is your goal? Are you getting them back to your website? Then like it doesn't like then just keep trucking or like go into stories or find what you're enjoying and like go roll with it. But it was funny. I was editing reels like after I decided like a few weeks ago I was going to overhaul my Instagram strategy. And I'm like, Mike, tell me what you think of this. And he has ADD. And he's like, I would have clicked off of this in 2 seconds. Like, why are you smashing meat for like more than 0.7 seconds? Like, each clip. And I was like, oh, so I started editing it. Exactly. He was sitting with me and he's like, drag it smaller, cleaner. And they're doing better. I'm like, okay. I'm like, but then they won't see that ingredient. He's like, this is entertaining. People are going to go to your website if they want the recipe. And it's so hard for me as like, have been doing this for so long to wrap my head around that like attention spans are just pretty much gone.
And it's interesting too, because sometimes I'll see longer form Instagram, not longer form, but like, 40 seconds that do really well. And it's like someone's making a recipe and you don't even know what recipe they're making, but people are just like watching it. And I'm like, I'm of the mindset like the quick 5-7 seconds are what do well. But then I'm like, oh, I get sick of watching them on other people's. So then I find myself gravitating towards the longer ones. Anyway, it's a
It's all
beast.
an
And
experiment too, right? Like on your platform that might work, like, no voiceover versus voiceover. And it's not like a one size fits all approach, which I'm realizing more.
so I remember at one point you tried to change your name from Lexi's Clean Kitchen to like Lexi's Clean Lifestyle. But
Yeah.
then when
Let's
I introduced you to everyone, you were like, no, it's just kitchen. So tell me about what happened there.
So of course, like Lexus Clean Living felt like the perfect fit. I was on this blog retreat, this is many years ago, and they were like, if that's like what you love and you're drawn to it, like go for it. Like make it the switch, even though it's like kind of a no-no to switch your name and URL and all that. But I was like, I'm thinking I might do it. I worked with a branding coach. I was really invested. I was like, this is like I'm drawn to is like the whole picture, not just food. And then as I was doing that, I confused Google by like adding all lifestyle on the site, but like kitchen, like the food is the bread and butter, And so like that was like oh no, like let me think about this a little more. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? Food is like my bread and butter. And I could still write blog posts about like non-toxic mattresses or I don't know, whatever I want to do. I could share about it on Instagram. I could do all these things, but like I don't have to change the website to do it. I think I was very caught up in like the name. And I think most people don't read the name anyway, or they don't think about it.
No, and I mean, I'm Sarah Fit.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes I'm like, I obviously don't always just talk about fitness, but it's easy to remember.
Yes, exactly. It works. It's fine. Would I have, like, chosen that name 15 years ago? Probably not, but like here we are and it's fine.
And to piggyback on that, have you experienced any, not backlash, but like, people used to be like, oh, eat clean. And I feel like now people don't say necessarily eat clean. It's just like a transfer of the times. It kind of means the same thing. For most of us, it's not a clean, dirty thing. But,
No.
how has
So
your experience been with that?
diet culture as a whole has been like this funny thing or not funny, but like this thing to watch, right? So it went from like paleo and strict and elimination diet to like, how dare you talk about weight loss and diets? And I don't know how your audience, I mean, your audience is different than mine, but like my audience, at least, it's like, I see that. I see this trend where people don't like, if you want to lose weight, you have disordered eating. It's like, or you have a fitness goal, or you want to be healthier, or you have, weight to lose to get to a healthier like lifestyle or goal. And like, I think that's okay too. Like it's all okay as long as you're healthy about it. So now I find myself being like, hey, I'm like your clean eating bestie. I've been doing this for 13 years. I'm like, it's not a diet. It's literally just replacing processed food with real food. Like just in general, like eating more real food and reading ingredients. That's all it is. So I'm like, I'm kind of over trying to like sugarcoat things because I think that's what people want to hear. And I'm like, no, this is what I'm here for. I've been doing this for a long time and I still am doing the same thing. That has to count for something.
Yeah, Lexi's minimally processed kitchen doesn't have the same ring as
No.
Lexi's.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I'm the same way. Like when I'm posting content, I'm like, what can I say? I can't say this. Like, because at the end of the day, obviously I'm helping people feel good, I want people to optimize how they look and feel.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's losing 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's losing 20 pounds,
Right.
and so it's a very delicate dance. And the last thing that I wanted to ask you about is, when we used to go on those blogger retreats, did you also find them to be the most beneficial
Yeah.
for your
I
business?
just went on one a few weeks ago to Palm Springs. It was amazing. I mean, it's just, it's like almost like callings coming together, even though we're not competitors, but I guess technically, but we're all together and we're just brainstorming and helping each other. It was like, what is your pain point on like Instagram? Like I'm investing time into it and I love it. Like why or like how do I get more views? Like what is happening? What isn't working? And they all just like hit me with their answers and it was so awesome.
And is that the
I did
genesis of
that.
you changing your
Yeah.
Instagram
Yeah.
strategy?
They were like, switch up your strategy. Here's what we think you should do. And I was like, you're right. This was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good piece of advice for people too listening who are starting. Like, surround yourself with like-minded people
Yeah.
that do what you do. And it's really hard to ask someone to go and sit and have a cup of coffee. That's usually just not something that content creators want to do all the time
Yeah.
because that's when we
Time.
work. But in regards to like, influencer events or, social gatherings, like that's your time to
Yeah.
go.
Go
Like
to
we all
them.
go to them and talk to other
Yeah.
content creators, ask them what they're doing. People are more than willing to help, especially for this podcast. I'm literally, messaging people being like, hey, will you come on? I, miss the days when we used to do all these retreats and be able to share like our ideas. And so this is kind of my way to kind of, help other people who aren't getting those invites,
Yeah.
but also they can still benefit from the information that a lot of us are learning.
Absolutely. Yeah. Say yes to those events.
I'm going to do my rapid fire. You ready?
Okay. Yes.
Intermittent fasting, yay or nay? If yay, how many hours?
Yay. And I mean, I don't like after dinner or snack or whatever. And then I don't usually eat till like 11, but keep in mind I'm not working out in the morning.
What would you say, like 14
I guess so. Yeah.
hours?
But like
Sounds like-
sleep's included. Does that count?
Oh, yeah. No, of
Oh,
course. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Sleeping
then,
counts.
yes, I'm into it.
Are your kids picky eaters?
No. Well, Harper's like a snacker, but like they'll eat salmon, sushi. They eat pretty good. The younger one's a little pickier. Skylar she's down for whatever.
What app do you spend the most time on for personal use with social media?
Instagram.
Same. Favorite protein bar?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't eat protein bars.
That's an answer.
Yeah.
Do you do dry brush?
I go through phases when it's out on my counter.
Yeah. Right. Red light therapy, yay or nay?
Hey, I was just using it this morning. I get ready and I put it on while I'm getting ready in the morning.
Where do you put it? On your face or your?
No, I have one that stands on my vanity in the bathroom. So I'll use it after I get out of the shower, or if like any of us are like congested, I'll just put it on.
Love that. Cold plunge.
Yes, we have one.
Sauna.
Yes, we have one. We just
Love
didn't
that.
purchase yet.
And last one, and it's not really one word, but one sentence. If you had one piece of advice for someone starting out, what would it be? Starting out as like a content creator in the wellness, food, fitness space.
Make sure you love it. Don't niche yourself so hard that you can't grow and evolve. Make sure you love it and do it from there, and people will be drawn to it. Don't do it for a paycheck that you think is going to come.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. It was so fun catching up. I miss
fun.
seeing you at the local Boston influencer events. But your lifestyle looks amazing where it's just a little bit warmer.
We're happy.
Awesome. So for everybody else, you can find Lexi at lexiscleankitchen.com, as well as you have Instagram, Lexi's Clean Kitchen, right? As well. And I will put a link to these below the show notes, and anywhere else you want people to find you.
Lexus Clean Kitchen everywhere.
Awesome. The benefit of being early into the game. Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure as always. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this as well. Check out Lexi's channels below, and we'll see you soon. See you next week.